Am I the a-hole for shrugging when my dad's wife told me they need all of dad's money right now? I, 17 male, might be the a-hole and I might be a big one, but I wanted to get people's insight. So my dad left my mom when I was 14 to be with his wife / the woman he was cheating on my mom with. My dad didn't want me to think badly of him, but I did. He knew I did, and he knew he couldn't change my mind easily. We always knew my parents would end up with shared custody until I was 17 at least. From experience, the judges in family court will only stop enforcing shared custody when a kid turns 17 and speaks out, any younger, and they insist on 50/50. I also knew mom would struggle on her own because while she did work, she never made as much as my dad. She also wouldn't get child support because of the 50/50, and it wasn't ordered even with the difference in income. So when dad pleaded with me to give him a chance to show he could still be a good dad and he said he would do anything for me, I told him to keep supporting mom and make sure she wasn't going to end up struggling while he got off easy. I told him she deserved that at least, after what he did, and that I deserved to see my mom doing well. My dad agreed and he paid it as child support instead of spousal support, or whatever it's called. It really helped mom and she actually went back to school so she could get a better job. Dad is still paying that money. He knows I appreciate him doing it, and he also knows it's one of the only reasons I didn't just decide to say fuck him and never want a relationship again. My mom is also less stressed. She has mixed feelings about my dad giving her money when legally he doesn't need to. But she also knows this is the only way for me not to feel the need to help support her. Where my dad's wife comes into it is this. She never liked that my dad paid this child support. She never liked that I insisted on it for my dad and I to have a relationship. But now my dad's house is struggling a bit, and some changes needed to be made. His wife's son and daughter were in dance, football, softball, karate, music lessons and an art class as paid extracurriculars. My dad and his wife also have a baby together. The wife's kids had to cut 2 activities because they can't afford it anymore. It pisses his wife off because if dad wasn't paying the money they could still afford those things. She told me I should stop obligating my dad to support mom because they need it more and my mom isn't their problem. I told her she and her kids are not my problem. She told me they're my family while mom is not her or her kids' family or my dad's anymore. I told her she and her kids are dad's family but not mine. She told me they need all of dad's money right now before more things need to be cut back on. I shrugged in response. She told me I was so callously flippant, and it wasn't a good look to care so little about my siblings' lives. Only one of her kids, the baby, is technically my half-sibling. Am I the a-hole? Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend that most women would not marry him and mocking his minimum wage job? I am a short guy, around 5 feet 4 inches to 5 feet 5 inches. In my 30s. My friend Ian is around 6 feet 1 inch. I met him some time back at an event, and although he's really good looking, he works as a waiter at a restaurant. On the other hand, I make quite a lot, to put it mildly. Ian has a girlfriend, Julia. We were hanging out at his place yesterday along with some of his other friends. I am a teetotaler and absolutely loathe alcohol, but the others were getting drunk and began to make jokes. One of the jokes was about how short I was, and am still single. Ian said, "Dude, I am not surprised that you are still single. You are really short and most women would pass on you immediately." The others laughed, including Julia. I was momentarily startled, but then snapped. "At least I don't struggle to make ends meet and work a minimum wage job." I added, "Most women won't consider you marriage material, by the way." Ian got extremely mad and began to argue with me, and so did the others. We had a huge verbal sparring. I asked them to fuck off and in the end left the place. Am I the a-hole? Story 3. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister there were consequences to not helping out our mom? So my mom and my sister live a state over. Around a year ago my mom's home flooded and she needed a place to stay until the insurance fixed it all. My sister lives near mom, 30 minutes away, and mom went to her first for a place to stay. She refused and basically told her to kick rocks. They had a good relationship before this. She won't even let mom stay for a few days so one of us could pick her up. I drove 7 hours to pick mom up and she stayed with me for 2 months until her home was good. The family was pissed at my sister, and it resulted in a discussion about how she never helps anyone out. Everyone has experienced it at some point where she didn't care enough to help out. My biggest example that pertains to me is when my car broke down and my sister refused to pick me up so I had to walk home and hitch a ride. This was before Uber took off. I got home and she was on phone dead scrolling. Everyone in the family has examples. We all decided to not help my sister anymore. This is the issue now. She needs a place to stay since she is moving to a new city and her lease on her home ended. So about a month to stay with someone before she can move into her new apartment in the city. Everyone has turned her down. She called me and asked if she could stay with me. I told her no, and she started crying why the family won't help her out. I told her that there are consequences to not helping out our mom when she needed it. She called me heartless and hung up. Am I the a-hole?